Here in East Texas, today's U.S. strike on Venezuela's capital is being felt far beyond Washington. Members of our local Venezuelan community are paying close attention with a mix of hope, questions, and concern about what comes next. Joining me now is Congressman Nathaniel Moran, who represents many of those families here in East Texas. Congressman, what was your first reaction when you learned this operation had taken place?
Ayana, this was a necessary action to secure the national security interests of the United States. President Trump has been very clear with leaders around the world. He is not going to deal with totalitarian regimes that intend to do harm on the United States and deal with them passively. He's going to be active in those situations, and he did that. Maduro's been a bad guy for a long time, been involved in drug trafficking, has helped drug lords across the Western Hemisphere usher drugs into the United States, and has helped to kill hundreds of thousands of men and women in the United States. President Trump took active and decisive action to extract him, a lot like what President Bush did in 1989 with Manuel Noriega in Panama. Take him out of that country, bring him to the United States to face justice on charges that he's been indicted for.
And are you concerned this could provoke retaliation against Americans abroad?
No, I mean, even more to the point, it further secures United States citizens not only domestically but abroad, because it says to the rest of the world out there, don't mess with the United States. We're strong. Our strength has not waned. We are not going to be isolated by China and Russia. We're not going to be minimized. We're going to make sure that our people here in the United States remain safe and secure and our country remains sovereign. But to do that, you have to show strength. Listen, we're not at war with Venezuela. We did not attack the country of Venezuela. We simply extracted a dictator that was not elected. He's illegitimately in power. He lost the election in 2024, but he would not give up power. He's been helping drug traffickers in the Western Hemisphere. We're going to bring him to justice in the court here in the United States. We're going to do that just like we did Manuel Noriega in the 1990s and the early 1990s. We're going to do that through the rule of law. We're enforcing the rule of law. Now listen, if military troops stay and we stay in Venezuela for a time, certainly Congress needs to be part of that decision. We need to invoke the War Powers Resolution Act of 1973. Congress needs to authorize the use of military forces if the military forces remain in Venezuela. But this activity last night, certainly within the inherent powers of the President of the United States under the Constitution to do.
And Congressman, how does this operation, how it unfolded, does this concern you at all as the outcome?
No, it doesn't concern me, because I'm glad the president did not give us as members of Congress a heads up. If he had, it would have leaked out. It would have put our men and women in fighting uniform in peril as they undertook this mission. He didn't need to do that. Under those War Power Resolution provisions, he only needs to notify us within 48 hours after the activity. He's done that. Everybody's on notice now that it's happened. If those troops remain in Venezuela for 60 days or more, then certainly we have to authorize the use of those military forces, and that is an Article I power under the Constitution that we have as a legislative branch, and I certainly hope the president will work with us to do that.
And is this action supported across party lines?
I doubt that it's supported across party lines. We'll see. I suspect that there's a lot on the Democratic side that simply because President Trump undertook this action, they're going to oppose it, and that's unfortunate, because this is in the national security interests of the United States and East Texans. And if you go back to 2015, President Obama declared the Venezuela situation to be a national security threat to the United States. So this is nothing new. And nobody's recognized the legitimacy of President Maduro, not even President Trump the first term, or President Biden during his term, or across the world. Nobody's recognized him except for those other totalitarian regimes that are using them, like China and Russia. And so this is going to restore democracy in that region, restore stability in the Western Hemisphere, and restore security for the United States.
And what safeguards are in place to prevent escalation?
Well, the safeguard is, again, if there is going to be the further use of military forces, their extended use, then the president needs to come to Congress to ask for authority to do that. That's under the War Powers Resolution Act of 1973. I firmly believe that Article I branch of government has a role in this, and I anticipate that we'll be briefed when we get back to Washington, D.C. immediately this next week.
And many Venezuelans here in East Texas are celebrating today, saying this brings hope after years of repression. How do you view their reaction?
Yeah, we fully support that because we want freedom across the world. We want freedom for people to choose their own path. In 2024, the Venezuelan people elected a different person to be the president of Venezuela. But Maduro would not step aside and instead use force to remain in power. And that cannot be the way this world works. This world needs freedom from bottom up, for the people to decide their own destiny, their own future. We're looking forward to Venezuelans to be able to do that, to be able to have the sovereignty of their own nation, to enjoy the benefits of their rich oil reserves and their what used to be a strong country and strong economy, to restore that once again so that they can live a free and prosperous life.
All right, Congressman Nathaniel Moran, thank you for joining us in studio today.
Thank you.